Let's talk about something pretty amazing. Something that happens inside every single one of us, every single night. It's the story of our heart, right? This tireless engine and the wild, beautiful science that explains why it never, ever gets to take a break.
Have you ever really thought about this? I mean, when you're in your deepest, most vivid dreams, that's REM sleep, your body goes into paralysis. It's actually a really smart safety feature, so you don't start physically acting out whatever crazy stuff is happening in your dream. But there's one muscle that's totally immune to this shutdown. And yep, that's your heart.
Okay, so the difference here really comes down to one word: control. Your skeletal muscles, the ones in your arms, your legs, they work because the brain sends them a direct order. During REM sleep, the brain just cuts that line. Simple as that. That's what causes the paralysis, which is technically called atonia. But the heart? Oh, the heart is a whole different ballgame. It's involuntary, it's a self-starter, it doesn't wait for permission from the brain to do its job. So how in the world does it do that? How does the heart just run its own show? Well, the answer lies in this brilliant piece of biological design. Its very own built-in pacemaker. It's a system that creates its own rhythm totally separate from your conscious mind.
This special ability has a name: myogenic contraction. Let's break that down because it's pretty cool. Myo just means muscle, and genic means origin or beginning. So the signal to beat literally starts inside the heart muscle itself. It's not waiting for a call from the brain, it makes its own. And that is the core reason it can't be shut down like your other muscles when you're dreaming.
So where exactly is this signal coming from? Let's zoom in a bit. Tucked away in the wall of the heart's right atrium, there's this tiny, incredible group of cells called the sinoatrial node, or just the SA node for short. You can honestly think of this as the heart's biological engine room. It's the source of every single heartbeat you've ever had.
And this is where you really see the raw power of that SA node. If you just left it to do its own thing, with no outside influence, it would have our hearts beating at 100, maybe even 110 beats per minute. That's its natural, unfiltered speed. Our nervous system is basically on the job 24/7, gently applying the brakes just to keep us at a calm, resting rate. It just shows you how ready to go our heart's pacemaker really is.
Okay, so we know the SA node is the command center. But what's happening inside those tiny cells to create this nonstop rhythm? To get that, we have to go even smaller, down to the molecular level where we find this little spark of life that has a very funny name.
Everybody, meet the star of the show, the funny current. And seriously, it's called funny because when scientists first found it, it was acting in a way that was just bizarre, totally backwards. See, most channels in our body's cells open up when the cell gets more positive. But these funny channels, they do the exact opposite. They swing open when the cell becomes more negative, which, it just so happens, is exactly what happens right at the end of a heart.
Let's just walk through this cycle because it's beautiful. Okay, so a heartbeat finishes, the cell is now at its most negative state. That negative charge is the key that unlocks the funny channels. They open up and a slow, steady trickle of positive ions starts to flow in. Think of it like a ramp, slowly raising the cell's voltage. And once that voltage hits a certain tipping point, boom, a new electrical spark fires off, a new heartbeat is triggered, and the whole amazing cycle starts all over again. It's the secret to the relentless rhythm of life. Now, it's not just one channel doing all the work. It's actually a whole family called HCN channels, and each one has a slightly different job, like a little team. Some are super fast specialists, but the one we really care about, the team MVP, is HCN4. You can see it right there. It's the slowest, but it is by far the most common one in the SA node. That makes it the main workhorse, the one that's primarily responsible for generating our steady baseline heart rate.
All right, so we've got a pretty good theory about how this all works, but how do we know for sure just how critical this funny current really is, especially for us humans? Well, as it turns out, science gave us a really fascinating puzzle to solve, a paradox that pits the human heart against a rabbit's.
So here's the first part of the puzzle. When researchers looked closely, they found that rabbit hearts have a much bigger, much denser funny current than human hearts do. So you'd think, okay, well maybe this current isn't as important for people then, right? A smaller current should mean it has a smaller impact.
But here's the twist. When they used a drug to block just 20% of that funny current in both hearts, the results were completely backwards from what you'd expect. The rabbit's heart rate only slowed down by about 5%, but the human heart, even though it had a smaller current to start with, slowed down by over 12%. That's more than double the effect.
So what on earth is going on here? It all comes down to proportions. Think of it like a pizza.
In the rabbit heart, the total electrical current is like a giant 16-slice pizza. The funny current is just one slice. But in the human heart, the whole pizza is smaller and more fine-tuned, say only 6 slices. So our funny current, even if it's a smaller slice in absolute terms, makes up a much bigger, more critical percentage of the whole pizza. Take away that one slice, and you really notice it.
And listen, this isn't just some fun science trivia. This has huge real-world importance. This is exactly why a heart drug like ivabradine, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a heart-slowing agent, works so well in people, even at a low dose. We're targeting a system where a very small, very precise change can make a really big difference.
So now we get the electrical magic that explains why the heart never stops. But believe it or not, the story doesn't end there. It turns out that this constant, steady beat is doing another incredibly important job for us every single night, one that has nothing to do with just pumping blood.
That's not an exaggeration. The relentless rhythm of your heart is directly tied to a nightly cleaning cycle for your brain. This is a pretty mind-blowing and relatively new discovery in neuroscience.
This whole process is handled by something called the glymphatic system. The best way to think about it is like the brain's dishwasher. Seriously, while we're asleep, this system flushes out all the junk, metabolic waste, toxic proteins that builds up during the day. We're talking about the same proteins that are linked to diseases like Alzheimer's. But any dishwasher needs power and a pump to work.
And that's where your heart comes back into the picture. Every single heartbeat sends a tiny physical pressure wave pulsing through the arteries in your brain. This constant pulsation is the pump that drives cleansing fluid all through your brain tissue, washing it clean. And get this cleaning process is up to 60% more effective during deep sleep when your heart is beating slowly and steadily. The takeaway here is huge. Your heart isn't just powering your body. Its rhythm is the very engine that drives your brain's nightly cleanup crew.
Which brings us right back to the beginning. That steady, reliable pulse you can feel in your wrist, it's so much more than just a simple bead, isn't it? It's the end result of a bizarre funny current, a self-starting pacemaker, and a design that makes sure it never stops. It is the rhythm that keeps you alive